Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Driving with Dan, and I know what you're going to say, it wasn't that long ago since you filmed one, and considering you didn't film one for a very, very long time, what's going on? Well, it's just been the Geneva Motor Show, so this is about day 2 or day 3, I think the second day open to public of the Geneva Motor Show, and a lot has happened, and I think quite a few big surprises as well, which is brilliant really, so much to talk about. Not so much to talk about among sort of standard cars, really. I think more concepts, but maybe has been quite a lot of news and we just haven't really heard it. Oh, I just forgot another one, so I'm going to quickly write that one down. Very good. Yes. So, we're going to start straight away with McLaren. So, well, it's an interesting one. Most of the cars they'd already sort of revealed, and everyone thought, really wasn't expecting much at Geneva. I think it's sort of one of the first times to really see the Speedtail. But apart from that, I think, we weren't really expecting much from them because they've released quite a lot recently. But out of nowhere, they've mentioned that they're going to build a mid-engined GT car, so Grand Touring. They haven't really said much more, but it's most likely going to be their V8 that's twin turbo. And I think they've said that it's going to be the lightest and most performance orientated GT car, which I think sort of takes away from the GT car, but as long as they've got their priorities set straight, I think it should be good. And it's like a slightly camoed up car, there's no point even showing it because it's going to change quite a lot. But it looks okay, you can see it's got some quite nice lines in it, so we have to wait and see. It probably won't be long until we hear more about it. But there's nothing too much. It's just some testing shots. Oh, I just forgot something else as well. Jesus, it's been such a busy week. Yeah, right, happy days. This is going to be a long video, I apologise. But it's basically going to sum up everything that's going on at Geneva at the moment. So, the biggest thing about Geneva, and I think most people have sort of accepted this news but haven't really listened to it all that much, is Aston Martin's. I think most people are more interested in other stuff that I'm going to mention later, but for me personally, Aston Martin and Lagonda have absolutely smashed it. So, of course, I basically have to sum up what's going on with Aston Martin at the moment, really. So, they've got the Valkyrie, which has been mentioned for 2 years, 3 years. They sort of showed that first sort of shape. Geneva is the first time they've had a full working car sort of on a stand for public to see. So that's just brilliant. It looks just incredible now. It's got all of the details all together. But just a reminder that the Valkyrie is the sort of the top of the line, the peak of the triangle for Aston Martin's essentially. And it's rivaling, the Project 1, which is the Mercedes, which has got the Mercedes the F1 engine. What else is there? McLaren's... What was the McLaren hypercar called? No, it's not. It's not really rivaling the Speedtail. I don't really know. But essentially, the Valkyrie is a road-going, but not really road-going race car. It's going to have, what's the figure? I think it's 1,200 brake horsepower with a hybrid system. And it's got a Cosworth V12, which just sounds incredible. And that's all sort of tied together to make the Valkyrie, which is sort of the top of the Aston Martin triangle. And that we sort of knew. But then there's levels below this. So they've revealed 2 new concepts. I think it's 2. There might be more. There's been so much news, I might have missed one. And the first one, which is quite important, is the AMRB003. And that's a catchy name, but the name doesn't matter. So have a look. I think that's the right picture because the other car looks quite similar. But that's going to have a hybrid V6 and is basically a slightly scaled down Valkyrie. Still got limited numbers. I think it's going to be 500 of them, and that's still, I think, in a slight concept phase, but it's basically ready for production. which is just incredible. So it's a V6, which is going to be made by Aston Martin. I can't remember if I mentioned it. I think I mentioned about Aston Martin looking into 6-cylinders again the other week. This is our first chance to really see it then, but it's going to be a V6. I thought it was going to be a straight 6. And I thought they were looking at supercharging as well. But there we are. It's a hybrid V6. And yeah, it's built with Red Bull, and it's got some sort of space tech in there, essentially. It's got some rocket science, which is about aero, and it's got sort of essentially the body can move without having to move an entire panel, so you can adjust the aero and sort of trim it out, and crazy stuff that I don't understand. But it's just incredible. So that, I can't wait to see more of that, maybe some testing shots or something. Really, really exciting. And that sort of thing going around the Nürburgring, whoa, that would just absolutely be incredible, because it's essentially a race car. And then the next Aston Martin then, which is sort of filtering down from that, is the Aston Martin Vanquish Vision. So Vision tells you it's a concept, but this is a new approach for Aston Martin. So this is, again, a mid-engined, based on a similar sort of chassis that they've worked with Red Bull, which is the full carbon fibre craziness. But it's going to be sort of rival to, you know, the Ferraris, the Huracan, probably even like a Aventador sort of rival. No, because the Aventador's a show car. McLaren 720S, that sort of ballpark you're talking. And all of these Aston Martins are going to be, I think, built in 2022 is their aim. And the Red Bull base cars we built over in Gaydon. And then the car that I'm going to mention next, which is the Lagonda all-terrain concept. That will be built in St Athan in Wales. Near me. Yeah, so back to the Vanquish. Sorry, so much going on. That's going to have a V6. I believe it's hybrid again. So it's essentially a softer version of that RB003. So have a look. So you see it's a little bit softer, prettier, really, really good looking car, that. Super excited to see more of that again. So, yes, but then back again, sorry, I'm really not very consistent with this. The Lagonda. So, Lagonda, Aston Martin bought the name, well, many years ago. Then they had the Aston Martin Lagonda, which was that wedge from the 1980s. Then they brought the name back again in about 2010 with the Aston Martin Lagonda Tarif, I believe it was called. Where they made like 100 cars, which nobody talks about anymore, but I thought they were quite cool. I'll show you a picture, there you are. So that's the Tarif. You might have seen that. I remember I saw one at Goodwood actually, and it was really cool, sort of by surprise. I think it was, what day was it? I think it was the Revival, and just tucked in the corner was one of those. So yeah, that's that. But then now the Lagonda name is really coming back with the St Athan plant, and this is their latest concept. Have a look. And I think that's a really, really good looking car. I think that overhang on the back looks really, really smart. Of course, it's a concept, so everything's really exaggerated. The interior is a bit spacey and a bit not very relaxed, I wouldn't say. But I think that's a stunning looking car. For an SUV, that's incredible. And it's going to be electric, because that's what they're doing at St Athan. That's going to be mostly electric cars there. It just looks staggering, and I don't know what sort of relation that is going to have with their DBX. So I don't know what relation that's going to have with the DBX. Aston Martin Lagonda, you know, it's probably going to have a lot of tie-ins. But just looks really, really stunning. I think that sort of, the Lagonda is going to go towards sort of, you know, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, really top premium SUVs, and all the best of them. That just looks stunning. So, yeah, that's it for Aston Martin at the moment, but oh my god, out of nowhere, you know, I didn't really think of Aston Martin really at all for this Geneva. I thought, oh yeah, they'll just have a DBX maybe or something. All of this out of nowhere, so incredible work by them, and yeah, all by 2022 I think they should be built anyway, or building, so best of luck to them with that. So then the next topic then is Koenigsegg, and they've got the Jesko, I believe it's called. Yes, but it's actually spelled Jesko, but it is a Y, I think. I don't know. I can't speak Swedish, or it might actually be another language. I don't know. Anyway, it's going to cost £2.3 million. Because everything here is over $1 million, I swear, at Geneva. It's going to have. Well, I tell you, it's not going to have. It's production ready. 1,600 brake horsepower on E85, I think it said. So just on a fuel that you can get. Like, it's not on a race fuel. It's got sort of 2 aero packages on the car. So I think there's a more of a track setup aero, and then there's a sort of slightly reduced aero for a top speed sort of setup for whichever one you want. And a figure that I haven't read but only heard is top speed of 316 miles an hour in the lesser aero packaged car. And I believe I heard, I think it was on Instagram, someone mentioned with the higher aero pack it's going to be 298 miles an hour. Theoretical, because it hasn't been tested yet, it's not a record yet. But that's staggering. And you're probably about to ask, well, what's Bugatti doing to combat this? Koenigsegg is about to absolutely smash Bugatti, and they've just been left with quite a slow car in comparison to them now. And you're right. Bugatti have had an interesting approach. So, of course, they've got... Well, the Chiron hasn't exactly been a massive success because they went, oh, yeah, we're limited with tyres. And have sort of just gave up with that, apparently. I haven't heard anything since. They haven't tried to push it up to anything else. They had a Bugatti Chiron Sport, but I don't really know what that did. They've also got a 110th anniversary or something. I think they got an anniversary special of the Chiron, of Bugatti anyway, for the Chiron. It's just a Chiron with a different badge, apparently. But then they released this new car, which is a one-off, called La Voiture Noire, which is French for the black car. It's a one-off, and it's going to be the most expensive car ever built. So it's more expensive than the Rolls-Royce Sweptail from Goodwood a few years ago. I think it's £10 million or $12 million. It's stupid. If not more than that, that might be without taxes. I can't remember the exact figure. It's stupidly expensive, and if I'm honest, I'm not all that keen. So have a look. So I don't know. It's just a bit untidy. Too much going on. 6 exhausts. I made a joke about it looking like a ricer, like a, from the early 2000s when they just stuck so many exhausts on a car for no reason. I don't know. It would appeal to like a 5-year-old, and that's about it. Well done to whoever can afford it, because they're doing well. But I think there are other things I would spend my money on, like, I don't know, a big yacht. Because you would, wouldn't you? And then you'd buy one of these other cars that I've mentioned. Especially considering you could get 5 Koenigsegg Jeskos and have 5 cars all doing 316 miles an hour at once. This Bugatti just looks a bit of a joke. They haven't mentioned anything really. I think it's 1,500 or something brake horsepower, same as the Chiron. So it's just, I think it's a rebodied Chiron, really. Which is staggering, don't get me wrong. But it's just a bit flashy, really. I suppose if you've got that sort of money, you can do what you want, can't you? Anyway, I'm going to move on from that because I wasn't really that keen. Especially, I don't know if you saw the tyres. They sort of painted on them to make the wheels look bigger. It's like, you drew that when you're like 7, maybe, and that's it. Like, it's not very... I don't know, it's not a mature car, is it? But I suppose if you have that money, then you don't care. Next topic then is Pininfarina. And they have I don't know. I think it's a build, not concept. They've built a new car called the Batista. I think, probably, and that is 100% electric car, which does kind of look like a Ferrari, but that's because Ferraris are designed by Pininfarina, so it will look like a Ferrari. But it looks really pretty. It's a good looking car. I'll give them that. But it's really impressive to be 100% electric, and it makes 1,900 brake horsepower, which is staggering. It's just stupid amount of power. However, with that sort of power, all being electric, you need a lot of batteries. And with a lot of batteries comes a lot of weight. It is not a light car. So it won't handle. But it will go. It will go in a straight line. But we'll see some videos on a drag strip or something, and it'll move. It'll move. So it's all 4-wheel drive and everything. Everything's got torque vectoring and stuff. So it would be an impressive car. But again, it's some stupid amount of money. If I had that money, it probably wouldn't be the way I'd go, but I don't have that sort of money, so what does it matter, really, I suppose? Anyway, on to the next topic. I think they're more interesting, more reasonable cars now. Actually, no, that's a lie. One of them is. The other one isn't. So, Morgan. So, we saw Morgan cancelled the +8 and all a couple of months back. This was all because they had their new +6 coming. So +6, +8, you can tell, downsized 2 cylinders, which is a shame. So previously the +8 was BMW powered V8 from the old M3, I think it was. So it's quite an old engine. But now we've got, I think it's 98 or something % new car. With the new +6, so it's a brand new chassis. We got a brand new engine. Everything's sort of just been refreshed a bit, modernised a bit. It's but they've still got the original look. So have a look. So we've still got the original shape, but it's got the new BMW straight 6 engine, which is going to be in the Z4, but more famously, it's going to be in the Supra. Which at first I was kind of upset. I thought they might use a Jaguar Land Rover engine, especially as they've got their new straight 6 supercharged, twin charge thing. I thought that would be brilliant in the Morgan. And it'd be sort of, because they do pride themselves as a very British brand, and then go and use BMW engines. But now I've heard which BMW engine they're using, which is the one from the Supra. I think that is going to work quite well for them, because of course the Supra is going to have a huge tuning scene, there's going to be lots of parts, everything's going to be available for them, there's going to be huge turbo kits for them, so you can imagine that sort of moving down to the Morgan. So can you imagine a sort of huge twin turbo Supra engine in a Morgan +6, I don't think it quite works because it's a turbocharged Morgan, the last one of course naturally aspirated. But it's just the way it's going, really, isn't it? And I guess turbocharged over hybrid, I suppose, because that just adds so much weight. But it's likely that there's going to be an electric version of this +6 as well, so there'd be the +EV or something it'll probably be called. But yeah, no, I really like it. I think the only issue that sort of I'm not that keen on is, the running... Well, have a look again. There's those running lights in the headlights. I think that's... I don't know, it just doesn't look right to me. I think that looks a bit odd. If the running lights were circular and went round the end or something, or there were just some running lights elsewhere, I think it would have been fine. But the running lights through the centre of the headlights? It just looks a bit, I don't know, a bit odd. But then Morgan have always sort of had a few weird issues with headlights. They always seem to do it a bit odd. Like when they used the mini headlights in the Morgan Aero, and they looked a bit... but there we are. I'm really glad that it still has the Morgan shape, they haven't moved too far away. Then yeah, super power, that should be pretty good. And yeah, it means they should be pretty reliable again, because of course the BMW engine, they didn't have really any issues with it at all. It's just BMW had to make them... especially for Morgan at the end of the production run, because BMW cancelled using the engine years ago, so that's why they've sort of had to move on, and of course emissions. So that's it with Morgan. I think that we're going to hear more from them soon. There's going to be some electric vehicles. There's going to be quite a lot going on. So then, finally, the last topic is with Range Rover, and they've launched, they've shown some testing videos of a new car called the Senator. And this isn't a mass production car at all. This is a very low volume special vehicle, built by Special Vehicle Operations, as a sort of bulletproof armoured vehicle. So it's of course disguised fully as a Range Rover. It is built rather well, but with a lot of armour, so it's sort of bomb-proof from underneath, it's bulletproof, it's crazy. It's got the 5-litre V8, probably tuned to the max, about 600 brake horsepower. But with all of this, it's made at 4.4 tonnes, which is staggering. But they've had to upgrade the brakes, new tyres, new wheels. I think the tyres are bulletproof as well, or they sort of keep inflated even when they get shot, sort of thing. Crazy stuff. But yeah, hugely heavy car, massive amount of engineering to keep that moving. And it's not just a bit of a boat, actually, because they show in the testing. There's the video of it, doing some wading and stuff and doing some heavy off-roading. They do some testing of going down holes and stuff in the road, like pothole testing. You see the suspension just taking. Wow. And then they also jump it. So they're doing, I think it's like the Millbrook or Mire or something, on one of those roads that goes around with loads of jumps, and they just fire this armoured Range Rover over it. It's all 4 wheels are off the ground. I'll have a look at the picture. There you go. So that's a still of it mid-air, and it just lands and the suspension just takes it. That's 4.4 tonnes of Range Rover, and that suspension has to dampen it and soften it and catch it. So that's a staggering point of engineering. So well done. Well done to Special Vehicle Operations for doing that. That's incredible. Then it's got sirens and lights and stuff. That's proper cool. So, but once it's got all its armour off, you probably wouldn't even be able to spot it apart from the wheels. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. And that's it. That's sort of the main highlights of Geneva, or at least for me anyway. And sort of points that I wanted to say. There were some other cars, like I think there's Volkswagen had that electric buggy thing. Not interested. That's all I can think of, really. Anyway, this has been a very long video, but there was just so much to talk about, and I couldn't leave it any longer because there's only going to be more news. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe and whatever, and I'll see you again at some point in the future, hopefully, if I upload. Anyway, cheers.